Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I warmly welcome you all to the third day of IT BPO Business Workshop Series. And today is our third day. And for your information, today is the final day for the year, where we have a break for the next couple of weeks for the year-end and the Christmas leaves. And our fourth session would be on 7th of January, Saturday, the same time, via Zoom. So just to start with the session, I think that many of the participants here have been participating for last couple of sessions, so they know the ground rules. But just to remind you all, this chat box in particular, chat box will not be activated for the core sessions. And once we have these core sessions finished, most probably by 1 hour or 1.5 hours time, we keep it open for the Q&A session. And the attendance is very important, where those who wish to take the certificate, we need at least 80% of attendance to be marked. And how we do it, again, through the chat box via Zoom or via this YouTube link, which we have, and we have the live streaming as well parallelly, just to keep it recorded. At the same time, we can, if we have any difficulties in technically through Zoom, you can log into the YouTube live streaming as well, where we share the Google form for attendance. Most probably at the end of the core sessions, where you have to mark your attendance just to fulfill the requirement by the organizers. And finally, the questions Q&A session, how we operate is through Zoom platform and even in the YouTube chat boxes. And also you can straight away shoot your questions to the presenter today. You can raise your hand through the Zoom button, but I'm sure that many of you know how to do it. Let me do raise hand here. So this is, I have raised my hand. So in the process of, once you have these raise hand questions, then we give the opportunity in first serve basis to you to ask your questions. And it will be maximum of 30 minutes time. And for your information today, our presenter Kaushala Ratnayaka is joining from Queensland, Australia, where right now I think it's about 11 o'clock in the midnight. So it will be at 1 o'clock once we finish the session. Therefore, please bear with us, and we have to be as quick as well as we have to be as efficient as possible to get the best out of this presenter. Single momitam kitiyan kiwut suba sandhayak siudana prarthana karana gaman අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම chat box එක පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. කිසිදු අවස්ථාවක ප්‍රධාන දේශනය අතරතුර අපි ප්‍රශ්න යොමු කරන අවස්ථාවේදී පමණක් අපි chat box එක activate කරනවා සහ attendance mark කරන අවශ්‍ය වෙලාවට විතරක් අපි chat box එක හරහා Google form එකකින් තමයි අපි attendance mark කරන්නේ. ඊට අමතරව මේට සමාන්තරව අපි YouTube live streaming එකක් යනවා. ඒකෙදිත් යම්කිසි අඩුපාඩුවක් වුණොත් ඔයාලට Zoom එකේ log වෙන්න බැරි වුණොත් සහ power failures, signal failures වගේ දෙයක් වුණොත් record කරගෙන බලන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඒ සඳහා අපි අවස්ථාව දීලා තියෙනවා. ඊට අමතරව ප්‍රශ්න අහන අවස්ථාව අපි තියෙන්නේ Zoom platform එක වල දැකලා reaction button එකක් තියෙනවා hand raise එක open කරාට පස්සේ අපි අවස්ථාව දෙනවා ප්‍රශ්න ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න. තව ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අපි time එක ගොඩක් යනවා නම් අපි recommend කරන්නේ WhatsApp groups හරහා ඔබේ ප්‍රශ්න ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියන්න. අපි ඊට පස්සේ අපි දේශකයා හරහා ප්‍රශ්න ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න. ඒත් එක්කම මොන හරි power failure එකක් වගේ දෙයක් වෙලා ඔබට සම්බන්ධතාවය දිගට ගෙනියන්න බැරි වුණොත් එහෙම screenshots කීපයක් තියාගන්න අපි recommend කරනවා. At least විනාඩි 30 මිනිත්තු 30 පරාස ඇතුළත screenshots 3ක් 4ක් තියාගෙන prove කරන්න අපි පොඩි Google form එකක් එකකට එවනවා. those who couldn't attendance mark කරන්න බැරි වෙච්ච කට්ටියට අපි එවනවා වෙනම Google form එකක පොඩි upload option එකක් තියෙනවා. screenshots 3-4ක් upload කරන්න අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ ඔබ මේක හරියට නරඹුවා කියන proof එක ගන්න. For your information, if you lose your connection or if you have any technical difficulties due to power failures or due to signal failures, what we recommend is to keep at least 3 or 4 screenshots with the intervals of 30 minutes time, where you can prove later, or else even you can watch later through YouTube, and you can upload those screenshots for the Google form that we share hopefully by tomorrow. Not today's attendance sheet, and today's attendance sheet is an on-time attendance marking. So where if you have marked the attendance, so you don't need to fill another form by tomorrow. With that remark, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to move to the core session, because today, as I mentioned, our presenter He joins from Queensland, Australia, where the time zone is far different, around 5 hours. Now it's more around 11, just after 11 p.m., I believe. And once the time he finished the session would be around 1 a.m. tomorrow. Therefore, let's make use of this opportunity. And I would like to invite Kaushal. Kaushal, but if I'm to introduce him technically, he's an IT professional with 16 years experience, more than 16 years experience, built and lead cross-functional IT teams and successfully delivered IT projects for startups and multinational companies, specialized in developing solutions in finance, e-commerce, mobility, asset management, and AI domains. Lead 20 plus engineering teams, manage over 100 million US dollars portfolios, built systems for more than 10 million users, and delivered 20 plus major projects. That's how his profile says. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this gentleman is so happy to help you, especially these young budding engineers. There are a lot of undergraduates here, and he will definitely share his life story and the way he has groomed through. And I'm sure that this will definitely benchmark many of aspects, and that will give many of the lessons for us as well. So he will be talking and discussing about how to build an IT business model and grow it up to international level. So he has proved it by himself, and let's listen to his story and let's try to get the best out of it. Kaushal, so over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjay. Thank you very much for the good introduction. So and good evening, everyone. So yeah, it's a bit late for me, but I think it's a nice evening for you guys. So Saturday evening, but yeah, let's continue and like we'll get this done and share my experience and share my whatever the things that I can give to you guys as much as possible in this session. So yeah, can you everyone see my screen?
Yes, Kaushal, yes, it's good to go.
That's great. Yeah, I'll go to the first one. So I'll start with my what's my journey is. So I graduated in 2006 from University of Ware in the Faculty of Engineering, and I did software engineering as my major. So and then I migrated. That's my first, I would say, hurdle or the first achievement. Then I migrated in 2011 to Australia, and then 2017 I started my business career or being an entrepreneur, and today here I'm doing consultancy and doing basically building a business or running a business now. So let's go into a little bit detail about each step, and I'll continue from there. So actually my journey began even before I graduated. There was a project, finally a project actually. I've done a project which is at that time there was it's 2004 actually. So at that time there was no smartphones. The only phones we have were like very digital phones, just analog phones, not even digital phones at that time. And there was no GPSs, or there were GPSs, but they were like very rare. Only like I think all over around the country there may be like 50 units there, but not more than that, I'm pretty sure. And when I was actually reading with my friend back in 2004 about building like looking for a solution to give how to find people's GPS location or phones GPS location, because at that time there was no GPS devices inside the phone. So and I came across a research paper, and then we realized, okay, we can use the cellular towers locations and then approximate the location of the phone based on that signal strength of the phone. So that was like a pretty small idea, but I took that idea and with the team of 3 actually, two of my uni friends, we built a software basically to estimate where the phone is, and it was like finally a project, but we did it in collaboration with Mobitel, so they really helped us. But that uh, that made us actually go into a competition in software industry held by Zenith at that time, and we were the first runner-up. So that made a lot of attention to our project, and a lot of people talked about it at the time. And then that made me to the path to my first job, even without actually interview. So they recruited me there uh, for my first job. So I just want to share this because you never know what things that you do now might help you in like a year or 2 years time. So don't hesitate to do anything that you feel that it's good within your portfolio. So that's my like the key drive. So even before I start my career, I did some project and get into the industry, or like at least feel what's happening around the industry before even getting into the my first job. And then I worked in Zenith for 1 year as a software engineer. And then if you heard about Mubasha, I think it's now called GTN, Global Trading Network. So I worked there for 2 years as a senior software engineer, and then went into work in Epona, which is another company in Sri Lanka. I think it's now called Intel, or basically Pearson. They rebranded it as Pearson now. So I worked there as a tech lead for 2 years. And then I migrated into Australia and start working as a senior consultant for 5 years with a company called Torero. So what they did was they did asset management software. So I was working across the country for different clients, government and private companies. Some of those assets are easily more than 100 million or 200 million assets are there. So basically, huge portfolio of assets we manage through our software. And then I left that job basically in 2017 because I realized, okay, that's, I mean, working as an engineer for someone else is not my fashion at that point. So I basically left that company and start working or building my own business and start my journey. And here I am, 5 years, basically, doing basically my own stuff, or basically most of the things that I like to do. So I'll talk more about what's the journey look like, and what's being an entrepreneur, and what's being the good things and the bad things about entrepreneur and all that in the next slides. But I just want to give you a brief overview of what I have done actually. So after starting the business, I would say that's my portfolio. The things that I've done before would be like the things I have done, but it's not actual my portfolio. I would consider these are the things that I've actually achieved in being my own running on my own business. So basically, I built 2 SaaS products and sold them, and then for a good price actually, and that helped me to get into other business, other products as well, or other projects basically. There were asset tracking software that I have done, which tracks the cars, or basically vehicles and containers, shipping containers throughout the world as well. So, and I sold it to a company that was doing the basically managing the fleet management software company. And then I joined, basically, there were a couple of projects I worked in as a in-house products. So one was I built a fleet management for fleet analytics software for ambulance fleet. So in Queensland, I'm in Australia, so there are 7 states, basically Australia. So out of those, every state got its own ambulance services. So I'm in Queensland. And there's another state called New South Wales, south from Queensland. So I built a software so that each state can monitor their ambulance fleet, similar to Suasaria in Sri Lanka. So basically what it does is it tracks the vehicles and analyze the patterns of the vehicles and get the telemetry data. Telemetry data is the data that coming from vehicles engine and vehicles, say battery level, fuel level, and all the acceleration, deceleration, and braking and all that. So that information, we capture that information, analyze with machine learning, and try to find any defects or any maintenance we are missing, or do we need to actually, we are predicting if is anything happening to the vehicle before even it happens. So trying to reduce the vehicles going into repairs, because ambulance is a really high cost asset. So we don't want that to be sitting in a repair garage, rather than it's actually serving people and taking sick people to hospital or transferring patients between hospitals. And then I worked in another project, which is AI, the tool for detecting the defects in the roads. Basically, it records video of the road and then analyze on the spot where that if there's a pothole or a crack in the tarmac, and then also if there's a water on the road, it can detect that and flag that location and then send a message to the relevant authorities. So basically they can come and repair those things. So people don't have to go and like take a photo and flag them and do that. That's mounted on a car, in front of a car, and they just drive around. So basically what we did for in Queensland or Brisbane is mount them into garbage trucks. So garbage trucks travel all around the city every week. So basically it captures all the places that we want to capture. So in that way we can cover most of the areas in the city. The rest of the areas, basically there are a couple of vehicles mounted with cameras, and they drive around the other remaining places. So that's how we capture that. And then another project that I worked is with the AI, we analyze the roofs of the buildings. So because otherwise people need to go into like climbing into the roof, and they need to look at the roof and analyze the roof, whether that it's rot, like corrugate the corrugate iron is rotting or not, and if there's a damage with the leaves and all that. So to reduce the risks of people getting hurt or falling from the roof, or like if they don't need to climb the roof, they just send a drone up and take photos of the roof, and our software analyzes that for images basically, and see if there's any defects in the roof, and if there's any, it provides a report to the repair team, so they can go and actually repair the roofs. So that's done for one of the councils in Brisbane as well. So Queensland, so they already using that system. And another interesting project that I worked in is actually it's a very simple tool. It's similar to I put 2 photos actually. So if you see like a notice board or billboards in Colombo, similar to that, but it's a smaller scale. Every bus stop and in Queensland, actually in Victoria, so that's where the Melbourne is. So they have screens in every bus stop and every tram stop. So and then the Transport Authority need to send messages to those boards. So I'll build a tool that they can send messages. So these, for example, the service disruption message in the left side of the the image that shows that we can send a message with a like a warning sign and all that. So it's like a black and white screen, and the other one is like a LED screen. So basically, we can send messages to those with the timetable or what's the next bus or tram arriving that that stop. So with that, yeah, so they use extensively, and currently they are using that system as well. And third one I was doing is like consultancy. So basically, I myself go and help other businesses to come up with their IT strategies, or basically come up with their own build their IT systems. So I help one of the medical startup, which is like basically it's a medical cannabis startup. So what they do is they import medical cannabis from Canada and sell it in Australia. So I help them to set up their whole business pipeline from importing to Australia to selling to pharmacies and to the doctors. So I basically build them the e-commerce solution, help them to build the e-commerce solution plus their online presence and all that. And also, I work with a mining company to set up integration between their finance systems to the HR system. So I do consultancy time to time. So at the moment, I'm doing some of the consultancy as well. So which I can't mention for some privacy reasons, those reasons. So yeah, but that's the three things. So basically, most of the things that I'm doing at the moment, basically, SaaS is like the software as a service. I'm building software as a service things. So I can sell them or I can make profit out of it. In-house product. So basically, the services that I provide is much more profitable. So let's discuss more in the next couple of slides. But yeah, that's what I'm basically doing. So if I translate it to Sinhala, so මම පටන් ගත්තේ 2006 දී තමයි මගේ ජොබ් එක පටන් ගත්තේ. ලංකාවේ මම වැඩ කරා කම්පැනි තුනක. සෙනිඩ් එක තමයි මුලින්ම මම වැඩ කරපු කම්පැනි එක. ඒකේ අවුරුද්දක් වැඩ කරා. ඊට පස්සේ මුබාෂක් කියලා කම්පැනි එකක්. ඒක GTN දැන්ට Global Trading Network කියලා ඔපරේට් කරන ලංකාවේ. ඒකේ අවුරුදු දෙකක් වැඩ කරා සීනියර් සොෆ්ට්වෙයාර් ඉන්ජිනියර් කෙනෙක් විදියට. ඊට පස්සේ අවුරුදු දෙකක් ආයෙම වැඩ කරා ඒපොන කියන කම්පැනි එක. ඒක දැන් පියර්සන් කියලා ඒගොල්ලෝ නම් පියර්සන් ලක්වයි කරලා ඒක දැන් ලංකාවේ ඔපරේට් වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ 2011 දී මම ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවට මයිග්‍රේට් කරා. 2011 ඉඳලා 2017 වෙනකම් මම කම්පැනි එක වැඩ කරා ටොලෙරෝ කියලා. ඒකේ ඒගොල්ලන් කරන්නේ ඇසෙට් මැනේජ්මන්ට් සොෆ්ට්වෙයාර් එකක්. ඒකේ බේසිකලි මම ඒක ලංකාවේ මුළු ඔස්ට්‍රේලියා පුරාම ඒගොල්ලන් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් කරා. කියන්නේ මට ඒකට තිබ්බේ ඒක product implement කරලා ඊට පස්සේ ඒකේ customization කරන්න තියෙනවා නම් client එක්ක හම්බෙලා requirements අද කරලා ඒක implement කරන්න. ඒක තමයි මම ඒ අවුරුදු 5ට කරේ. ඊට පස්සේ 2017 දී මම කල්පනා කරා මේක මම කාටවත් වැඩ කරනවට වඩා හොඳයි මමම එකක් කරන්න පටන් ගන්නවා කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මම ඒ අතරේ 2015 ඉඳලා මම slowly build up කරගෙන ආවා. කියන්නේ මගේ projects කිහිපයක්. ඒකෙන් 2017 වෙනකොට මට පුළුවන් වුණා මගේ own business එකක් පටන් ගන්න. එතකොට මුලින්ම මම කරේ software as a service, ඒ කියන්නේ SaaS product එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ software එකක් දෙන්න create කරලා ඒක විකුණනවා. හරි ඒකේ subscription එක විකුණන එක වගේ එකක්. එතකොට ඒක මම කරේ gym management software එකක් තමයි මුලින්ම මම හදලා විකුණන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ ඒක සක්සස් වුණාම මම asset management asset tracking software එකක් කරා. මොකද මම ඒ domain එක ටිකක් දැනගෙන හිටියා. මොකද මම කලින් අවුරුදු 5ක් විතර වැඩ කරලා තිබෙනවා. එතකොට ඒකෙන් ඒ experience එකත් එක්ක මම asset tracking software එකක් හදලා ඒකත් විකුණුණා. ඒ අතරේදී මම තව මම projects කීපයක් කරා. මම විස්තර කරපු විදිහට ගොඩක් ඒවා AI related දේවල්. මොකද මෙහි ටිකක් මේ ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් ඇනලිටික්ස් පැත්තට හරි නැත්නම් මැෂින් ලර්නින් පැත්තෙන් ඒගොල්ලන් ගොඩක් දේවල් කරන්න try කරනවා. ඒකින්ද මේ ඒ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් වල ගොඩක් ස්පේස් එක තිබ්බා. ඊට අමතරව මම කන්සල්ටන්සි කරනවා මේ ස්ටාර්ට්අප් වලට හරි නැත්නම් සමහර ලොකු කම්පැනි වලට උනත් මගේ knowledge එක share කරනවා. ඒගොල්ලන්ට මොන හරි project එකක් කරන්න ඕන නම් integration එකක් system දෙකක් අතර integration එකක් කරන්න ඕන නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට කෙනෙක් හොයාගන්න නැතුනම මම ගිහිල්ලා උදව් කරනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඒක build up කරන්න. හරි product එක හදන්න. ඕක තමයි roughly මේ මම මේ දක්වා මගේ විස්තරය මම කොහොමද ආපු ගමන කියලා. අපි ඊට පස්සේ බලමු මේ මම කොහොමද business එක build කරේ කියලා. Let's say how I built the business and like the last 5 years what did take toll on me, or what are the things that I went through, and then let's discuss what I can give you guys. I'm not giving advice but sharing my thoughts and sharing my experience. So the first thing is the mindset. You need to change your mindset to become like or not become, but like you need to change your mindset basically to run a business, because it's totally different than you're working as an employee. It's totally different to being an entrepreneur. There are good things, there are bad things. I would say both sides are not too bad. I mean, being an employee, so there are good things being employed. There are good things about being entrepreneur. So that's nothing good or bad about it, but that's the choice I made. So every time you can go back where you, if you want to be, but that's my choice. So yeah. And the other thing is with the building business, the main thing was the opportunities, because that's not very common. So that's the things that the opportunities are not coming very often. So you need to look for opportunities and grab those as soon as possible and as much as possible. Some of the opportunities I got to build with relationships and get the projects in was totally came from very unexpected sources. For example, one of those the medical cannabis startup that I was talking about, it came from my accountant who was doing my tax returns, or basically doing my books. He referred one of his clients to me totally out of scope, out of the blue. So that's how you get some, if you have a good name and if you have a good reputation, then that sometimes work as well. So yeah, keep in mind opportunities come from all over the places. So you need to grab them and you need to place yourself better in the opportunity. And the third thing I would like to say, when I'm building the business, you have to come out of your comfort zone. I'm very shy person, I would say. I was not so comfortable with talking to people or even like presenting. And also I'm not so comfortable with meeting people. I'm basically introvert. So there are people like introverts, there are people extroverts who express themselves really loud and nice. I'm not that kind of a person. So, but I have to step out of my comfort zone, came out of my shell, and then meet people, meet and greet people, talk to them, get their requirements, and meet different type of people. Some of them are really nice, but some of them are not. Some of them really arrogant, or some of them are having really egoistic. So you have to deal with different type of people. You have to deal with different type of mentalities, and then work through your way, get the projects in. Ultimately, what matters is you're delivering correct solution that what they're asking, not that personal feelings or anything else. So yeah, you need to come out of your comfort zone and like go to the next level basically. And the other thing is the risk. So basically you might end up losing money, or basically you won't have money for months or maybe years sometimes when you're building your business, because sometimes there are good days and there are bad days, and I would say bad days are first when you start. Bad days are the more common thing. So don't get you surprised if you won't have money coming in. So have your cash reserve before even jumping into the business. Make definitely have a cash reserve for yourself, so you have at least in heydays you can have something to rely on, or just to get by even. And then the other thing is the work-life balance. So basically you'll lose your if you are a employee, you get good work-life balance, or basically you can basically go and sleep without a much of a worry. But if you are an entrepreneur, that's the other way around. Basically your work sometimes dominate your life, but try to get that balance again. I wouldn't say now I'm better at doing that, but when start, yeah, the work-life balance went out of the door. Basically, I have to work very long hours, but yeah, eventually you get the balance that you think is correct. And then the other thing is the fierce competition, because you are not the only player here. There'll be hundreds and thousands of people and thousands of companies basically fighting for the same piece of pie. So it's really a competitive world. You will be surprised when you actually come into the business how much how much people, how many people are fighting for the same piece of pie, and how much they go beyond their levels to achieve that. I'll talk more later in the slides what you should and shouldn't be doing, because sometimes competition is healthy as long as it's the outcomes are good. Otherwise, it'll basically kill your business as well. And the last thing is be persistent. Like every time, all the time, be persistent, because people rely on you, because people come to you or your company because you have done a good work with them and you have a good reputation, or from word of mouth they heard good things about you. So, and then they expect the same thing from you every time. So be persistent. Don't you don't think that when you get a lot of clients, don't think that there are a lot of people coming in, so I can do anything I want. No, that's even if it is like a small client, treat the same way that you treat for the large client, because they came for you, because not going to another person, because or another company. Basically they trust you and they have faith on you. So keep that faith and trust building, and that'll bring more people into your business. So let's have a look on this is actually a story I would share with you guys, how the opportunities, as I said like before, the opportunities coming from different angles and different things. This particular case study, I got a software project, it was like basically screwed up software project, which was like a 10-year-old product and having like 100,000 users, and then like 150 clients were there for that company. And what happened was the software team, basically there were 4 people in the software team. They took hostage of the code base, and they basically threatened to leave without giving code base. So basically the company was brink of collapse. So when the owner called me and asked for help, like it was a good opportunity for me, because I was looking for projects at that time, but it was a hard project, because basically it was not the ideal at all, and it's the worst thing that you can imagine of. Like now they are having a lot of problems, and now I am the part of the problem as well. So my approach was basically the owner was the owner is the one who actually managed the project. So he was not talking to the developers at all. So they basically fallen apart and basically not talking to each other at all. So I was the intermediate guy who's communicating between developers and then the owner, and then I built trust with the development team, get familiarized with the product, and negotiate with the developers to actually give me the code base and convince them the best thing, or the thing that the right thing to do is to hand over me the code base, because consequences would be like you'll get sued if you actually basically take the code base hostage. And then eventually they realized, okay, they are doing a mistake, so they gave us the code base. I've secured the code base, and then we actually secured all the system and let the development team go. And I created a team myself, including myself and a couple of other Sri Lankan developers brought into the project. And then we basically restored all the systems and keep that running. So basically it wasn't the ideal project that I was looking for, and it wasn't the technical project or technical challenge that actually the challenge was to have that all the people talking to the people and convincing them and getting that the situation solved. So you'll encounter these kind of projects. Don't think the projects as like very easy or very smooth. They are, when you get a project, definitely there are going to be a problem, one or the other. So maybe not bad as this, but you'll get projects which is really tangled up. So be prepared for those kind of challenges, basically. So when I'm building the business, basically there were two things I've considered. So either I could go product based or I could go service based. So initially, product based, why I choose, I went with the both. I did a hybrid model basically, because in that way I could get the good things of the both worlds basically. The product base, you get to decide what the product is. So it's up to your imagination what you build. If it's a good product, people will love it and embrace that. If it is a shitty product, definitely no one will use that. So basically, you need to, before even building something, you need to validate your idea, make sure that it's actually, at least other than you, there are few people liking that idea and genuinely liking that idea. I mean, like not only friends, check with other people who's not friends with you, but giving you a genuine idea that your idea is a good one or not. And then you do all your sales marketing, because you, in the sense, your company should do that, because basically you are the one who's actually investing or building the product. So basically you need to be your own boss, and you need to be your marketing manager. You need to be your own sales manager and do the advertising and everything by yourself. And it takes some time to make some profit, because initially there'll be like development costs, because you're not, even if you are like an entrepreneur, you might be doing some coding, but some of the coding might be done by some other like developers. So that incurs cost, and there'll be like servers. You need to host the software in a server. There'll be other costs like marketing, advertising, and all that. So definitely there'll be cost, and it'll take some time to make some profit. So it'll take sometimes long time to make profit. So, but on the other hand, when you start making profit, that'll be much more stable. So that'll be like a stable income for you. rather than you having it one-off or like getting it, getting some kind of payment if, just in a couple of times, and then that's it. Normally, if it is a service product, you get paid a couple of times, but in a product, normal SaaS product, it's a long-term thing, and you have more control of what you're doing. You can select your own tech stack. You can select your own like payment gateways, the pricing model, and everything. So you are in more control. Whereas when you come to the service business, basically client dictates the project. So they are the ones, your clients are the ones who's giving you the requirements. You need to adhere to the client's requirements. You can't basically go beyond what they're asking. You can put some suggestions, but that's only a limited, there's a limited scope that you can play around. And they normally, the clients dictate the deadlines. They normally ask, they have set deadlines. So only thing you can play around is reducing or adding features. So basically, for each deliverable, you can say, okay, I can deliver these things in this particular day, but I might not be able to do this feature because it's too complicated. So that's the only thing that you can dictate, but most of the time, client dictates your deadlines. But the good side is you get paid from the day one. Basically, even before starting the project, normally you get like 20% down payment, or maybe like the first month you'll get paid every month, or every week you'll get paid. So which is a really good thing. You have a good cash flow, so you are not tied up to a loan or anything, or just you have like a good cash flow there. But there's a 95% possibility that most of the time cost will blow out, because projects expand, and be prepared for that, because most of the time, how much you put as a contingency, till the client change their scope and project costs will blow out. So that's a risk that you take compared to product, because in the product you can control what you do or what other features you are implementing, whereas in the client project they might come up at very end and say, oh, I need these, there are another 5 set of features that we need to implement. So there's a possibility that there's a good possibility that you'll have a good cost blowout, and you don't have much control over what you're doing. So basically, you can dictate some of the things, but most of the time, the technology or the platform you are deploying, or like the payment gateways you are using, you can't dictate them, because they already have those technologies sorted out or decided. So you have to use their whatever the decisions that they make. Those are the 2 business models, or basically the things that you can when you are starting a software business, you can either go with product, or you can go with the service model, or you can have a hybrid model where you build some of the product plus you do some projects as well, which is like getting the best of both worlds, basically. And the other thing when you're building the business is the networking is the key, basically. Most of the time, people think, okay, I don't. Once you left company, you just don't think, you won't think that it's a good idea to keep the connections. I was like the same in my early days of career, so I didn't care. Basically, when I left my company, I didn't care. They are the people I left behind. So basically, I burned the bridge most of the time. So don't do that. That's a mistake I've done. Keep contact with them. How small they are, how like new they are. When you grow up and when you have experience, people you work with in your very first company also growing up in a different way, and they might go and start their own businesses, or they might be in a position after 10-15 years in a good position. So don't burn the bridge, keep the connections always. Uh, friends are if you have friends in good places, they are the very first thing, very good network, because they give you referrals. They do free marketing for you. They do really good help referring you to other friends and referring others to you as well. And the other thing is, it's a good source of capital. If they sometimes they help you to raise capital, they have good connections, so they can introduce you to a like a venture capitalist or like a fund manager. Keep your friends in your radar. So, and the other one, family, definitely. If your parents or if your aunties, uncles who can invest in you, not only like capital as a money, but maybe their time, because sometimes it's all not only like the time, but say looking after your child. These are if your parents can look after your child, that'll reduce your burden on and you can focus more on your time on the working into your product or project. So that also investment. So don't think that if your mom or dad won't have any money, that's not the case. Still, they can help you with their time, looking after your kids, or like even taking care of your chores. So family and friends are really helpful. And the third thing is colleagues. Definitely, as I said before, every person you meet in your career, they are really good. They're not going to be friends, but these colleagues will help you with marketing, because if you've done really good job in your company, that's like the free marketing you're getting, and then the referrals you're getting. So basically, they'll talk about you and they'll say, "All right, okay, this guy has done amazing job here. So that's we'll give him another job later." So once you start your business, definitely that's a good place you can start with, getting the contacts and getting the projects. And the fourth thing is basically the client. When you start a business, you will get getting the first client is the hardest thing. So yeah, when you have 3-4 clients, they'll refer most of the time. If you're doing a good job, they'll refer some other people as well. So keep that ball rolling, because once client give you a testimony about you, the next person definitely believe them. So there's a referral is a really good thing, that even especially if client gives a referral, it's more stronger than a friend or like a colleague giving a referral, because client is a person who's actually your business contact and they're using your product. So definitely their referral is more valuable. That's the most valuable. And the second thing, the fifth person, people are like your users. If you build a SaaS product and if your users really liking it, it's free marketing. Basically, if they talk about your product in social media or like a Twitter or like a Facebook, or send a Instagram, or like you do a TikTok post, that'll be like fantastic, because that's like a free marketing you get. Plus, that's a testimony from your user. So they normally give their what's called genuine idea or genuine opinion. So that'll attract more people. Okay, say if someone saying good about your product, that means that you're getting free marketing from those people basically. And the last is your partners. The partners are like the people who network with you. Let's say if you are running a business, you need a lot of other people to do your stuff. Say, for example, if you're running a IT business, you need accountancy people to run your account. You need some IT like infrastructure people who can manage your servers, set up email servers or like hosting service, and then the phone services and all that. So these are the people who partnered with you. So keep that partnerships running. They'll come back with opportunities, because when they go and meet some people, their client, they might have a problem, software issues, so they can refer back to you. So that'll be like a win-win situation for your partner and for you as well. And the last I want, or basically the other thing that I want to talk about when I'm building my business, these are the main challenges. There are a lot of challenges, but these are the main challenges that are faced. Basically, the competition is fierce, as I said, like being a small business, because the business that I ran, there were like a maximum of 10 people, but at a given time. So it's not a very large business that I'm running at the moment, because for the size of the business, or the work that we are doing, it cannot be a very large business. So it's a small business, but being a small business, there are some benefits. We can be nimble and more agile. We can do a lot of changes as we go. But on the other hand, sometimes it's pretty hard to do competition, compete with the big companies. Like say, some of the companies we compete, like say IBM or like Accenture, they do larger projects, but they still bid for the smaller projects as well. So we sometimes have to outbid them and get those projects in. So it's not a competition. Competition is good, because then that'll keep you awake and keep you going. But on the other hand, it's being a small business, it's pretty hard to be in competition. And the other thing was people. It's hard to find good people, especially right people with the right attitude, because you might find some developers or some marketing people, or like even designers with really good skill but shitty attitude. So basically, you need to have a good set of people with right attitude. Then they might not be the best people in their trade, but make sure they have the good attitude, because the attitude matters. Because if you screwed up in a project, and if you are in a really problematic situation, these are the people who come and help you, not the people with a bad attitude. They might say, okay, I'm done for the day, I'm going home. But if you have a good set of people with a good attitude, they'll help you, they'll shield you, and they'll make sure that you're coming out from that situation. And the third thing is, as I said, finding projects is really hard or challenging. So I have to use a lot of my network, plus a lot of referrals, and like talk to a lot of partners. I mean, sometimes for the week, I would make 10-15 phone calls to get to people, and make sure that they are aligned with our projects, or basically our business model, and then get them to referrals to us. So finding projects is a challenging job. Yeah. So, and the last thing is the different time zones. As I say, like I was working in, I'm in Australia. I've worked in people with Sri Lanka, and then I worked in some of the people in USA as well. So it's like the USA and Australia is like totally different time zones. So if it is in a early morning here, it's late night in USA. So it's pretty hard to work 2 or 3 different time zones, maybe like 4 different time zones. But some of the developers I worked in Sri Lanka, and the designers were in US, or like project managers in US. So it's not an easy thing, but these are the challenges I've faced. But luckily, still I'm managing to cope with them and keep growing. So, and talk about the support services. let's have a look. What are the other things that you need as a software developer or development business?
Yeah. Sorry to disturb, but I think if we can take 2-3 minutes just to wrap up things in single,
Sure.
just before moving to this supporting service, if you would mind, please.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you want single knowledge?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Maximum 2-3 minutes you can take for the last, because I think we had a bit of a heavy load last night, and also that was very important as well for these, especially these young ones.
Yeah, definitely. So මම සිංහලෙන් පොඩ්ඩක් එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරන්න මොකක්ද මම කතා කරේ කියලා. මේ අපි මුලට ගියොත් එහෙම මොකද්ද මට ඉස්සලාම ෆේස් කරන්න වෙච්ච challenges තමයි මම ඔයගලන්ට කියේ හිටියේ. එතකොට ඒකේ main challenges තමයි
sorry, can we go back with the slides as well?
Yeah, definitely.
We were here, yes.
Yeah. So yeah. අපි ඉස්සලාම් බැලුවේ ඇත්තටම මොකද්ද බිස්නස් එකක් බිල්ඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ, මොනවද තියෙන්න ඕනේ දේවල් කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ බිස්නස් එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරද්දී ඔයාගේ මයින්ඩ් සෙට් එක, ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා හිතන පතන හැටි වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕනේ පළවෙනි එකම. ඊළඟට කියන්නේ ඔයාට වැඩ කරන කියන්නේ එම්ප්ලොයි කෙනෙක් විදිහට නැත්නම් කාට හරි වැඩ කරනවා වගේ නෙමෙයි, ඔයා තනිව බිස්නස් එකක් කරද්දී ඔයාගේ මයින්ඩ් සෙට් එක වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඔයා තමයි තනියම වැඩ කරන්නේ. එතකොට ඔයා කවුරුත් ආව බලන්න නැහැ, මොනිටර් කරන්න නැහැ. ඒකින්ද ඔයාම self motivate වෙලා දේවල් කරගන්න ඔයාගේ mindset එක වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඒක. දෙවෙනි එක තමයි ඔයාට තියෙනවා opportunities හොයාගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ දෙයක් කරන්න කියන්නේ opportunity එකක් එන්නේ ඒක ගොඩක් මේ common නැහැ, හැම වෙලේම ඔයාට හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ opportunity. ඒකින්ද එන මොකක් හරි opportunity එක ඔයාගේ පැත්තට හරව ගන්න ඔයා දැනගන්න ඉන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ අනිත් එක opportunity එකක් එනවයි කියලා දැන අඳුර ගන්නත් ඔයා දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි ලොකුම දේ මේ බිස්නස් එකක් run කරද්දී. මොකද නැත්නම් එහෙම ඔයා දන්නේ නැහැ සමහරවිට opportunity එකක් ඇවිල්ලා ගිහිල්ලා ඒක ඔයාට තේරෙලවත් නැහැ ඒක opportunity එකක් කියලා. ඊළඟ දේ තමයි තුන්වෙනි දේ තමයි ඔයාට ඔයාගේ comfort zone එකේ ඉඳගෙන මේක කරන්න බෑ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාට comfort හිතන්නකෝ ඔයා සමහරවිට කතා කරන්න ලැජ්ජ වෙන්න පුළුවන්, නැත්නම් ෆෝන් කෝල් එකක් දෙන්න ලැජ්ජ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් කාව හරි මීට් වෙලා කතා කරලා මේ බිස්නස් එක කතා කරන්න නැත්නම් ඔයා ප්‍රොමෝට් කරන්න ලැජ්ජ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කම්ෆර්ට් zone එකෙන් එළියට එන්න ඕනේ. මොකද ඔයා එහෙම පහුවෙලා ඉන්නකම් ඔයාට අලුතෙන් බිස්නස් එකක් පටන් අරගෙන ඉස්සරහට යන්න බෑ. මොකද කවුරුත් ඔයා වෙනුවෙන් දේවල් කරලා දෙන්නේ නැහනේ. ඒකින්ද තමන්ම තමයි මේ දේවල් කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද ඒ කම්ෆර්ට් zone එකෙන් එළියට ඇවිල්ලා මිනිස්සුත් එක්ක කතා කරන්න, ඊළඟට තමන්ව එක්ස්ප්‍රෙස් කරන්න, ඒ කියන්නේ තමන්ගේ අයිඩියාස් එළියට කියලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ දේවල් කියන්න පුරුදු වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඊළඟ දේ තමයි ඔයා මොකද බිස්නස් එක රන් කරන ස්ටාර්ට් කරද්දී ඔයාට තියෙනවා ලොකු රිස්ක් එකක්. මොකද ඔයාට සල්ලි, ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා ජොබ් එකක් කරගෙන ඉන්නවනම් ඔයාට පඩියක් හම්බ වෙනවා. හැබැයි බිස්නස් එකක් කරන්න පටන් ගත්ත දවසේ ඉඳලා ඔයාට පඩියක් හම්බෙන්නේ නැහනේ. එතකොට ඔයාට සල්ලි කොහේ හරි, ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා බිස්නස් එකට ඇත්තටම බහින්න ඉස්සලා පොඩි හරි කෑෂ් රිසර්ව් එකක් තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා. සල්ලි ටිකක් පොතක දාලා හරි නැත්නම් කොහේ හරි සේෆ්ලි තියාගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. මට මේකේ මුල ඉඳලා සල්ලි හම්බුනේ නැති වුණොත් අඩුම ගානේ මට ජීවත් වෙන්න සල්ලි කීයක් හරි තියනවා කියලා. ඊළඟ දේ තමයි නරකම දේ තමයි ඔයාගේ work life balance එක යනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා ලංකාවේ ඉන්නවා නම් ගොඩක් ලාට software development company එකක ඉන්නවා නම් සමහරට ලංකාවේ වුණත් work life balance එක නැති වෙන්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා. ඒ වුණාට normally වෙන්නේ ඔයාට 8-5 job එකක් කරලා ඔයා හවසට ගෙදර ගියාට පස්සේ ඔයාට ඔයාගේ time එක තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඔයා business එකක් build කරද්දී සමහරට ඔයාට 24/7 ඔයාගේ මුළු කාලෙම කැප කරන්න වෙනවා business එක build කරන්න. එතකොට ඔයා බැඳලා නම් ඉන්නේ wife ඉන්නවා, ළමයි ඉන්නවා, ඊළඟට අම්මා තාත්තා ඉන්නවා, ගෙවල් වල මල ගෙවල් වෙනවා, දාන ගෙවල් වෙනවා. ඒවට යන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. සමහරවිට ඒවට ගියත් සමහරට ඔයාට business call ගන්න වෙනවා. එතකොට ඔය work life balance එක imbalance වෙන්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා. ඒකත් ලොකු risk එකක් ඔයාට තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාට ඒවා මතක තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා මෙන්න මේ දේවල් තියෙනවා, මෙහෙම දෙයක්කට ඔයා මේ business එක පටන් ගන්නදී මේවත් ඔයාට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න කියලා. ඊළඟ දේ තමයි ඔයාට ලොකු competition එකක් තියෙනවා. අපි පොඩි මේ කියන්නේ ඔයා තනියම ගිහිල්ලා දෙයක් කරනවානේ, මේ ඔයාත් එක්ක තව compete කරනවා ගොඩාක් දෙනා. සමහරලාට පොඩි business වෙන්න පුළුවන්, සමහරට ලොකු business වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයා වගේම සමහරට එක්කෙනෙක් හරි දෙන්නෙක් එකතු වෙලා කරන business එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් සමහරට ලෝකෙම ප්‍රසිද්ධ වෙච්ච IBM වගේ කම්පැනි එකකුත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් ආත් එක්ක කම්පීට් කරන්න ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකකට. ඒකින්ද ලෑස්තිලා ඉන්න වෙනවා මොන කම්පිටිෂන් එක ආවත් ඔයාට ඕනේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක ගන්න නම් කොහොම හරි ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක ගන්න try කරන්න. මොකද බය වෙන්න හොඳ නැහැ. ඒ කම්පිටිෂන් එකට ඒ වගේම කම්පිටිෂන් එක තියෙනක හොඳයි. මොකද එතකොට ඔයාවත් මොටිවේට් වෙනවා. තව ඔයාගේ ඊළඟ ලෙවල් එකට ගිහිල්ලා ඔයා දේවල් කරන්න ඒ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක ඔයාට ගන්න. ඊළඟට අන්තිම දේ තමයි ඔයා හොඳටම persistent වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා කරන දේ හැමදාම හරියට කරන්න ඕනේ. අනිත් එක එකපාරක් කරනවා නම් ඒ දේ ඊළඟ සැරේ ඒ හරියට ඒ විදිහටම කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මිනිස් බලන් ඉන්නවා ඔයා ගැන ඔයාගේ ක්ලයන්ට්ලා. එයාදියා බලන් ඉන්නවා ඔයා ඔයා කලින් දුන්න අවුට්කම් එක හැමදාම දෙනවද කියලා. ඒකෙන්ද බිස්නස් එක බිල්ඩ් කරද්දී මේ දේවල් ටික හරි වැදගත් මේ. ඔයා කියන්නේ බිස්නස් එක පටන් ගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලාම අත්‍තරම ඔයා මෙන්න මේ දේවල් ටික බලාගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ මම මේක හරි පිටියෙන් කියන්නම් මේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් මම කරා. ඒ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකේදී ඒකේ උනේ ඒ කෝඩ් බේස් එක මේ මට මේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක හම්බුනේ මම ඔපචුනිටි එක ගැන කතා කරන්න ගිහලා තමයි මම මේක උදාහරණයකට ගත්තේ. ඒ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක ඒගොල්ලෝ මට හම්බ වෙනකොට ඒක ගොඩාක් ලොකු ප්‍රශ්න ගොඩක තිබ්බ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක්. ඒකේ කෝඩ් බේස් එක බේසිකලි ඩෙවලොපර්ස් 4 දෙනෙක් ඒක එයාගේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඕනට දෙන්නේ නැතුව ඒගොල්ලන් ගාව තියාගෙන හංගගෙන වගේ හිටියේ. ඒතර මම ගිහිල්ලා මට තිබ්බ ඔපචුනිටි එක තමයි එතන ගිහිල්ලා ඉවර වෙලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගෙන් ඒක අරගෙන මේ ඕනට ඒ කෝඩ් බේස් එක අරන් දීලා ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක කන්ටිනියු කරන්න දීපේ. ඉතින් ඒකම මම අචීව් කරා මාස 3ක් යනකොට මේ ඩෙවලොපර්ස්ත් එක්ක කතා කරලා ඒක එළියට අරගෙන. ඉතින් සමහරලාට ඔයාට එන ඔපචුනිටිස් ගොඩක් ලාවට මේ ඔයා හිතන තරම් ලස්සන මල් යහනාවක තියෙන දේවල් නෙමෙයි. ගොඩක් අමාරු මේ කියන්නේ ඔයා හිතන්නේවත් නැති දේවල් වලින් තමයි ඔපචුනිටි එක එන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒ ඔපචුනිටි එක ඔයාගේ පැත්තට හරවගන්නේ ඔයාගේ වැඩක්. මොකද ඔයානේ බිස්නස් එක රන් කරන්නේ. එතකොට ඔයාගේ තමයි chance එකයි ඔයාගේ තමයි එෆර්ට් එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වගේ දේවල් ඔයාගේ පැත්තට හරව ගන්න. ඊළඟට මම මෙතන කතා කරේ මේකෙදි ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එකක්ද ඔයා කරන්න හොඳ. එහෙම නැත්නම් සර්විස් බිස්නස් එකක්ද කරන්න හොඳ කියලා. ඒකට ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එකක් කරනවා නම් සල්පෙටියම කියනවා නම් ඔයාට තියෙනවා ලොකු කන්ට්‍රෝල් එකක්. හැබැයි සර්විස් බිස්නස් එකක් කරද්දී ඔයාට තියෙන ක්ලයන්ට් කියන විදිහට තමයි මේ දේවල් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද මම කරපු දේ තමයි මේ දෙකම හයිබ්‍රිඩ් එකක් විදිහට කරපු ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක්. يعني ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් උත් කරා මගේ කම්පැනි එක ඇතුලේ සර්විස් උත් කරා. මොකද ඒකට සර්විස් වලින් මට සල්ලි හම්බ වෙනවා. මොකද ඒක ඩේ 1 එකේ ඉඳන් සල්ලි හම්බ වෙනවා. ප්‍රොඩක්ට් වලින් සල්ලි හම්බ වෙන කල් ගියාට අර හම්බ වෙන සල්ලි රීඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන් මට ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එකකට. ඒක ලොං ටර්ම් සල්ලි හම්බ වෙන දෙයක් වෙද්දී මට සර්විස් වලින් සල්ලි හම්බෙන්නේ නැති වුණත් මට ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක තියෙනවා මගේ එක්ස්පෙන්සස් ටික කවර් කරගන්න. එතකොට මේ දෙකෙන්ම හයිබ්‍රිඩ් මොඩල් එකට ගියපු එක තමයි මම කරේ. ඉතින් ඒක ඕගොල්ලන් ඩිසයිඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ මොකක්ද ඕගොල්ලන් තෝරගන්නේ කියලා. මේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් බේස් එකක් යනවා සර්විස් බේස් එකකට යනවාද කියලා. ඊළඟට මම මේක ගොඩක් ආපහු මේවා කරන්නේ නැහැ උනාට මේ ඕගොල්ලන් නෙට්වර්ක් එකක් හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ යාළුවෝ ඊළඟට ඔයගලගේ පවුලේ කට්ටියත් එක්ක ඊළඟට ඔයගලන් වැඩ කරපු තැන්වල කලින් ඉස්සර වැඩ කරපු අයත් එක්ක ඒ නෙට්වර්ක් එක හරි හොඳට බිල්ඩ් කරන් ඉන්න ඕනේ. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන් තමයි ඔයාව මාකට් කරන්නේ. ඔයාගේ බිස්නස් එක මාකට් කරන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයාට සල්ලි දෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ යාළුවෝ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් ගෙදර කට්ටිය වෙන්න පුළුවන්. සල්ලි විතරක් නෙමෙයි ඔයාට ටයිම් එක වෙන් කරලා දෙන්න. හිතන්නකෝ අම්මා තාත්තා ඉන්නවනම් සමහරට ඔයාට ළමයි බලලා දෙන එක ඔයාට ඔයාගේ බිස්නස් එකට කරන ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් එකක්. මොකද ඔයාට එතකොට ඒ ළමයිව පන්ති අරන් යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. එහෙම නැත්නම් ළමයිව බලා ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මොකද අම්මා හරි තාත්තා හරි ඒගොල්ලන් බලා ගන්නකම් ඔයාට ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකේ වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන්. අන්න ඒ වගේ. ඊළඟට ඔයාගේ වැඩ කරපු කලින් වැඩ කරපු ඔෆිස් වල ඉන්න කට්ටිය ඔයාට හොඳ මාකටිං ටූල් එකක්. මොකද ඒගොල්ලෝ ඔයාගෙන රෙෆරල් එකක් දෙනවා නම් හරි ඔයාගෙන හොඳ කියනවනම් මිනිස්සු එතකොට ඔයාගේ හොයාගෙන යනවා ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් වලට. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් ඔයා කරන ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් වල ඉන්න ක්ලයන්ට්ලා ඔයාගේ හොඳම රෙෆරල් පොයින්ට් එකක්. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන් ඔයා ගැන හොඳක් කියලා තව කාව හරි ඔයාට රිෆර් කරනවා කියන්නේ දෙවෙනිට එන ක්ලයන්ට් ඔයා ගැන ගොඩක් ලොකු විශ්වාසයෙන් එන්නේ. එතකොට ඔයාට තියෙනවා ඔල්රෙඩි බිල්ඩ් වෙච්ච විශ්වාසයක් එයාගේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක හොඳට කරලා දෙයි කියලා. ඊළඟට ඔයාගේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකේ ඉන්නවනම් ඔයාගේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක හදලා ඔයාගේ යූසර්ස්ලා ඉන්නවනම් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මාකටිං එකත් හරි හොඳ මාකටිං එකක්. ඒතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් ටක් ගාලා ඔයාට දෙන්න කියන්නේ මොනවාද මේ කියන්නේ ඔයාලා ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ නම් මේ YouTube හරි Facebook එකේ හරි TikTok එකේ හරි නැත්නම් ලංකාවේ නම් හිතන්නකෝ තියෙන මේ Vibe හරි ඒ වගේ social media channel වල post එකක් දාන එක ඔයාගේ business මේ වගේ product එකක් තියෙනවා ඕගොල්ලෝ use කරලා බලන්න කියන එක නොමිලේ marketing එක ඒ වගේම ඔයාට ඒකෙන් මොකද එතකොට use කරපු කෙනෙක් එක කියන්නේ ඒකින්ද already reputation එකක් build වෙලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒකෙන් ඔයාගේ business එකට මාර හොඳ මේ input එකක් එනවා. ඊළඟට අන්තිම එක තමයි ඔයා වැඩ කරන ඔයා තනියම වැඩ කරනවා නෙමෙයි ඔයා partners එකත් එක්ක කියන්නේ ඔයා ඔයාගේ business එකට අමතරව තව මම ඊළඟ slide එකේදී පෙන්නන්නම් තව ගොඩක් කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා ඔයාට ඔයාගේ business එක run කරද්දී. ඒකින්ද ඒ කට්ටියත් ඔයාගේ හොඳ business මේ opportunities හොයලා දෙන කට්ටියක් වෙන පුළුවන් partners තාත්. උදාහරණයක් ඇටියට ඔයාගේ IT service එක දෙන service මේ build කරලා දෙන හරිය නැත්නම් හිතනකො accounting කරලා දෙන කෙනා වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාගේ ඊළඟ project එකට ඔයාට referral එක දෙන්න. නැත්නම් ඔයා business එක අරන් ගෙනත් දෙන්න ඔයාට. ඒකින්ද ඒගොල්ලොත් කිසි වෙලාවක මතක කරන්න එපා. ඒගොල්ලොත් ඔයාගේ ඇත්තටම මේ network එකේ කැලලා. කියන්නේ basically ඔයාත් එක්ක business එකට interact කරන හැම එක්කෙනාම ඔයාගේ network එක. ඒකින්ද ඒ bridges burn කරගන්න එපා. මේ කියන්නේ ඒක කඩා ගන්න එපා. ඉස්සරහට යද්දී කොච්චර පොඩි කෙනෙක් වුණත් එයාව අනාගතයේදී ඔයාට ඕන වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට පස්සේ මේ මම roughly challenges කිව්වොත් එහෙම මේ මම face කරපු challenges තමයි major එක තමයි competition එක. ඊළඟට මට මිනිස්සු හොයාගන්න ගිහුවම හරි ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණා. හරි attitude එකක් තියෙන මිනිස්සු. මොකද ගොඩක් දෙනාට skill එක තිබ්බට මිනිස්සුන්ට attitude හොඳ attitude එකක් ගන්න. ඒකින්ද මේ ගොඩක් ලාට වෙන්නේ හොඳ skill මිනිස්සු ආවට ඊළඟට attitude එක නරක නිසා ඒගොල්ලත් එක්ක අපිට continue කරන්න බැරි වෙනවා වැඩ. ඊළඟට වෙන දේ තමයි මේ project හොයාගන්න ගියපුවාම competition එකයි project හොයාගන්න එකට එකක් බැඳිලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ උනට project හොයාගන්න ගියපම අමාරු දේ තමයි අපිට අපි පොඩි business එකක් වුණාම අපිට referrals නෑ. එහෙම නැත්නම් partners උනත් ගොඩක් ලොකු partner network යන්නේ. එතකොට අපිට ටිකක් අමාරුයි අපිට projects හොයාගන්න. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද ඔය competition එකයි projects හොයාගන්න එකයි එකට එක යන දෙයක්. ඉතින් හොඳම දේ තමයි අර network හොඳට build කරන් ඉන්න. එතකොට අපිට කියන්නේ දැම්ම නැති වුණා අවුරුදු 2-3ක් යද්දී අපිට වැඩ එන්න ගන්නවා ඒ partner network එකේ. හරි නැත්නම් අපේ තියෙන network එක through. ඊළඟට අන්තිම එක තමයි දැන් especially මම වගේ ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ ඉන්නවා. ඊළඟට මගේ team එකේ සමහරව ඉන්නේ ලංකාවේ, සමහරව ඉන්නේ US වල. එතකොට හරි අමාරුයි time zone එක. මොකද කට්ටියකට උදේ වෙද්දි කට්ටියකට මට රෑ වෙද්දි තමයි කවගෙනකොට උදේ. එතකොට හරි අමාරුයි මේගොල්ලත් ඩීල් කරන්න. ඉතින් එතකොට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මේල් වලින් හරි නැත්නම් chat messages වලින් තමයි අපි එකිනෙකාට ඩීල් කරගන්නේ. ඒ උනට ඒකින්ද හොඳ අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩින් එකක් වුණේ. ඒකින්ද තමයි මම කියුවේ හොඳ right attitude එක තියෙන people ලා ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්වත් හැම වෙලෙම පස්සෙන් පන්නන්න ඕන නම් මොනවද කරන්න කියලා. ඔයාට එතකොට හරි අමාරුයි ඔයාගේ වැඩේ මැනේජ් කරන්න. ඒකින්ද කෙනෙක්ට දෙයක් කිව්වම ඒ දේ කන්ටිනියු කරන්න පුළුවන් කට්ටියව හොයාගන්න ඕනේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ. මේ කවුරු හරි කියන්නේ ඔයත් එක්ක පාර්ට්නර් වෙන කියන්නේ හිතන්නකෝ ඔයා යාළුවෙක් ඔයාගේ එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න ගත්තා. එයාට එක්ස්පෙක්ටේෂන් සෙට් කරන්න ඕනේ ඔයා මොකක්ද වැඩක් දුන්නා. ඒ වැඩේ කන්ටිනියු කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මම දැන් මේකට මම ආපහු මෙතන ඉඳලා මම ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කියලා මම ආපහු ඊට පස්සේ සිංහලට ආපහු වෙන්න මේ කියන්නේ what on support network මොකක්ද කියලා. Let's look at what are the support network you looking if you are a software development company. It's not only software development, but there are a lot of other things you need and you will have to run your software development business as well. Because it's not solely on software development, but say you are developing a software, you might need some designing work. So you might have like 5-6 software developers or maybe like 10 software developers, but you are not in a position to get a designer in. So or maybe like a project managing. So there are services that people who's doing like part-time or like full-time doing designing work or like a project management or content creation, you might have to partner with them. They might be not like full-time your employees. They are like partners that provide you can ask them for help and they'll give you uh, the things get done. For example, if you want a website or like a brochure to design, you can give it to a designer and they'll get that done. Also, like if you want to get a video created, rather than yourself doing it, better to give it to a content creator. So they will be good at that. They'll do that for you. And if you want some 3D design to be done, get a 3D artist or like a company that's doing the 3D designs and get that done from them. And also for the IT services, like say if you want a telephony service or email service or like cloud service done, get a IT company, IT service company who's been specialized in that and get it done through them. So in that way, you have a partner network. So on the other hand, if they get some software development work, they'll come back to you and say, okay, look, these guys, my client need this to be done. So please, can you help with that? So that's how you build your partner network. Plus, you need that support network to you. So it's not like a individual business or like a sole business or like a only software development. There are a lot of other things involved into doing in the software, so software development as well. And yeah, so I'll explain Single as well before going to the next slide. So ඔයාලන්ට ඕන වෙනවා මේ software development කරද්දී තව ගොඩාක් ලොකු services set එකක්. එකම දේ ඔයාලගේ software development කරනවා විතරක් කියලා ඉන්න බෑ. මොකද ඔයා business එකක් කරනවා job එකක් නෙමෙයි දැන් කරන්නේ. ඒකින්ද ඔයාට හිතන්න වෙනවා ඔයා software development කරද්දී ඔයාට ඔයාගේ client කියන්න පුළුවන් මට මේ design එක කරලා දෙන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් මට මෙන්න මේ video එක හදලා දෙන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් මට මෙන්න මේ website එක කරලා website එකේ මේ රූප ටික හදලා දෙන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් photos edit කරලා දෙන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් මෙන්න මේ server එක host කරලා දෙන්න. ඔය ඔක්කොම කරන්න වට අනිම බැරි හින්දා පාට වෙනවා partnersලා හොයාගන්න. ඒකට හොඳ companies හරි නැත්නම් හොඳ individuals අත් එක්ක partner වෙන එක ලොකු help එකක් ඔයාට. මොකද එතකොට තමයි ඔයාට පුළුවන් ඔයාගේ හොඳ දේ ඔයා software development නම් හොඳට කරන්න. ඔයාට පුළුවන් ඒක හොඳට කරන ගම අර content create කරන වැඩේ content create කරන කෙනෙකුට කියලා කරවගන්න. design කරන වැඩේ designer කියලා කරගන්න. ඊට project management කරන වැඩේ තව project manager කෙනෙකුට කියලා කරගන්න. එතකොට ඔයා ඒ burden වලින් අයින් වෙලා ඔයාගේ හොඳ දේ ඔයාට හොඳට කරන්න පුළුවන් software development එක ඔයා කරනවා. එතකොට accounting ටික accounting කරන team එක company එක කරලා දෙනවා. ඔයා ඒ ගැන worry වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඔයාට IT business එක ගැන මොන හරි service deploy කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක IT service කරන කන්ට්‍රි කරලා දෙනවා. එතකොට ඔයාට ඒ ගැන හිතන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඔයා solely බලන්න ඔයා software එක design කරලා ඒක develop කරලා ඒක deliver කරනවා. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද ඔයාට හොඳ partner network එකක් ඕන වෙනවා. මේ වැඩේ දිගටම කරගෙන යන්න. ඊට පස්සේ අපි බලමු මේ මොනවද මම කියන්නේ මේක නරක දකුණු වම් පැත්තේ තියෙන ටික නරකයි හෝ දකුණු පැත්තේ තියෙන හොඳයි කියලා. මම උඩින් දාලා තියෙන්නේ නිකන් roughly profit margins කොහොමද මේ එක දේවල් කරන්න පටන් ගත්තම ඔයගලන්ට හම්බෙන profit margin කියලා. උදාහරණයක් ඇටියට ඔය website එකක් හිතන්න WordPress හරි මොකක් හරි කියන software එකකින් website එකක් කරනකොට වගේ දෙයක් කරලා වාට හම්බෙන්න පුළුවන්. 15% විතර මේ profit එකක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් logo design එකක් කරලා හරි copywriting කරලා නැත්නම් හිතන්නකෝ website එක මොන හරි click කරලා නැත්නම් copy paste කරලා නැත්නම් data enter කරලා ඒ වගේ දෙයකින් වට හොයන්න පුළුවන් 15ක් 20ක් 10 15 අතර ගණනක් තමයි වට උඩරිම හොයන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේ දේවල් quickly හොයන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද මේම highly skilled job නෙමෙයිනේ. ඒකින්ද මට ටාටා ගාන සල්ලි හොයන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි very less profit margin. අනිත් එක මේක readily available තියෙන ඔය වම් පැත්තේ තියෙන ගොඩක් දේ ඔයාට හිතන්නකො Fiverr හරි freelancer ඔයගේ website එකට ගියපුවම ටක් ගාලා හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් ඔය වැඩ. ඔයා ගොඩාක් කොට train වෙලා නැති වුණත් ඔයාට ඒක කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ලොකු margin එකක් නැහැ ඔයාට ඒ දේවල් කරන්න. හැබැයි අනිත් පැත්තට ගියොත් එහෙම මේ අනිත් පැත්තේ තියෙනවා custom software එකක් build කරනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් හිතන්නකො e-commerce solution එකක් හදලා දෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් SaaS product يعني software as a service product එකක් හදනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් AI හරි machine learning හරි product එකක් හදනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් IoT product එකක් හරි හිතන්නකෝ edge computing වලින් කරන product එකක් හදලා දෙනවා. එතකොට ඔයාට තියෙන profit margin එක කාට වඩා ගොඩක් වැඩි. ඒ කියන්නේ 35ක් විතර තමයි පටන් ගන්න ගන්න වෙන්නේ. මේ මගේ අත්දැකීමෙන් මම කියන්නේ. සමහරට මීට වඩා වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්, මීට වඩා අඩු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් මගේ අත්දැකීමෙන් 35ක් විතර පටන් ගත්තම සමහරට ඊටත් වඩා ලොකු profit margin වල සමහර වෙලාවට custom software එකක් ඊට 50 60 වෙනකන් profit margins යන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද ඔයා කරන්නේ specific custom software එකක්. එතකොට ඒක කවුරුත් කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක කරන්න කෙනෙකුත් නැහැ. සමහර වෙලාවට මුළු රටේම ඉන්නේ ඔයයි තව දෙක තුන් දෙනෙක් විතරයි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකින්ද competition එක අඩුයි. ඉතින් ඔයාට වැඩි ගණන් charge කරන්න පුළුවන්. අනිත් එක ඔයාට එතකොට මේ ඔයා මතම rely වෙනවා ඒ client. ඒකින්ද ඔයාට ultimately ලොකු bargain power එකක් එනවා ඔයාට දේවල් කරන්න ගියොත්. I was speaking about the what are the good things and bad things about the they are not good and bad, but what I would saying is like the less profit and high profit products. So the first thing is like the websites and logo and copywriting, data entry and art and illustration. They are not bad. They make a quick buck. So that quick buck is like 15% profit margin. The thing that you put in won't reflect much of your effort. But on the other hand, if you do like a custom software or like an e-commerce solution or like a SaaS product, like a software as a service, or like an AI machine learning product, or like a IoT or edge computing product, then the profit margins are higher. These are the figures that are figured out, but it could be more than that. It could be little bit less than that, but I'm definitely sure the things that in the left side are more common. So a lot of people can do that at the right side. A lot of people can't do that, especially a software that customized software. Maybe you and maybe few people can do that in that way. So there's like a more bargaining power you have if you are doing custom software or like a special the things in your right side. So let's move into the next one, where that what you need to change your mindset, and what we'll do first we'll do a comparison, then we'll go to the mindset that we expect from like an entrepreneur or like a person who's running a business. Basically, as an entrepreneur, you're working for a goal. You're trying to achieve a goal rather than you actually working for money. So basically, you're trying to build a product or like get a project done. That's your goal, not making money. Making money is like comes as a second thing, because you are doing actually you are trying to achieve a goal. And the other thing is you see opportunities as an entrepreneur. Use opportunities. Basically, if you are employing for someone, you basically most of the time you won't see any opportunity. You just skip them. And as an entrepreneur, you create a path. You basically do a lot of things to create your path, and you build your own path. Whereas if you are an employee, you basically seek direction from your boss or your manager and see where to go and what to do and what the next task would be and what I'm going to do today and all that. But as an entrepreneur, you have to create your own path. It's solely about yourself, that you are the one who's actually guiding yourself. So as an entrepreneur, you'll take a lot of risk, from money, monetary, to like your work-life balance, to your like connections and all that, your health even. Whereas as an employee, you basically avoid risk. You basically pass that risk to your manager, and you'll be happy. So basically, if some decision to make, you basically give option to your manager, choose the best option. So you avoid the risk as an employee, but as an entrepreneur, yes, you have to have a lot of take a lot of risk. And the last thing is, you as an entrepreneur, you plan a lot, and you have to plan a lot and plan ahead, maybe like for next week, or maybe to a couple of years, or to a couple of months time. But as an employee, you just execute what are the plans that created for you. So it's much easier to be employed rather than an entrepreneur, because there are a lot of things that you have to think about as an entrepreneur. But I'm not saying anything is bad or good or bad, but these are the traits, or these are the things that when you compare the mindset of each, and the key mindset traits for being entrepreneur, be confident about what you're doing. So basically you are a confident, like you are an intelligent person, so you have your own skill set, so don't underestimate yourself. Be confident what you can do. And all the people, if you look at people who build the businesses, that's the same as you. There's nothing special about you most of the time. So you can, if they can, this, yes, you can do it yourself as well. And the other thing is, be accountable about what you're doing. Basically, anything success, yes, that if things goes really well, that's really good. But if there's a failure, definitely that's also it's yourself. Like you should on those failures as well, and acknowledge those failures, because these are the things that you can learn the next your next steps, basically. And the other thing is resilience. Basically, you need to when you fail, you need to be resilient, because failures are like unavoidable. All the time you'll get failures. Only thing you can think of is the failures, not and make them those failures as lessons. Don't get too frustrated about the failures. Just think there's a lesson, and that's not end of the world. So basically, if there's a failure, that's like a one step back. Then you just move forward again once you correct that the incorrect step. So that's a resilience. And then passionate about what you're doing. So basically, love what you're doing. So if you are not passionate about what you're doing, don't start your career, or not career, even like business at it, because it'll be you should be enjoying what you're doing every day, because otherwise it'll be really hard for you guys. And be curious, because all the time technologies are evolving and there are a lot of things happening around you in the tech world. So be like a child. I got 2-year-old, so he's very inquisitive and really curious about his surroundings. So be like that, like be like 2-year-old. Look for everything, and be vigilant about what's happening surrounding you. And the last thing is be persistent, as I said before. Be reliable. Always produce the same results, so people depend on you. So that are the key mindset traits that you have to change in your when you becoming an entrepreneur or business owner, or like starting a business, basically. And quickly we'll look at how to get started with like a project or a business. Getting a started, I mean, you don't need to quit your job and start the business. Start it with as a side hustle, like say dedicate your time, maybe like couple of hours a day while you're working, or like while you're studying. Just set aside maybe 1 or 2 hours, think about some project and start working on that, and get a portfolio ready. So build your own, do very small projects, build some small projects and have a portfolio ready. So when you actually starting a business and talking to client, you have something to show to them. Otherwise, like, they won't trust you because there's nothing to show. How can evaluate them? How can they evaluate yourself? So there's nothing. If you have some kind of portfolio, that'll be a really nice thing to start with, and build your own story. So you need to have a story that client get excited about. So that'll be like simply how you navigate, how you build the project, or why you build that project. That could be a good story for them to start with, because say if you build a small library that helps, say, to communicate with email servers, for example, that will be a good starting point to talk, and that will be a good starting point for them to think about you as a good person to start to do business with, and have a from the start have a good team with you. At least talk to people, and even if you won't have it, if you don't have any work at the start, just give them a heads up that you are needing them in the future. So be ready for that, and give them a little bit of idea what you are going to do. That'll be really helpful when you grow. When you have a lot of work to do, you can delegate those work to the other team member. And then the last thing is the do planning. Like, planning is the key. So definitely do planning. And when you start actually with client, if you have a plan, then you can deliver things quickly and fast. The other thing is try to be lean in the sense, don't buy very expensive equipment. Don't buy, or like, don't invest a lot of money into the things that cost you a lot, because that'll basically eat your profits up, especially when you're starting small, unless you have like a VC funded or like venture capital funded project. Most of the time it'll be like your parents or your friends funding your project. Then start very with the bare minimum things that you can start with. And once you start the business, then these are the things that you need to consider about. I'm not going to go through each and everything, but the key things would be the time that you have to invest. So there are a lot of time you have to invest, especially in the very early stage of projects. So it'll be like, sometimes you might have to work 14, 15 hours a day for several months maybe to get the things off the ground. So be prepared for that, to work in the long run. And the other thing is, make sure that your deliveries are delivered correctly, and do it really meet the deadlines. So because that reflects your ethics and your professionalism. And also be punctual. I have seen a lot of people, when it comes to meetings and all that, they are not punctual. They just show up whatever the time they think correct. It's not, if you are doing business with overseas especially, people respect the other's time, because that might be like, if you are talking or calling to a client, he might be really busy, so he might have like only half an hour. So if they say 9 o'clock, be there at 9 o'clock, physically or even in a meeting. Don't go too late, because they might have some other appointments after that. So that's the other main thing that I have seen in a lot of people's in Sri Lanka especially. They're not punctual, and that bite you back in the later. And be prepared to be more flexible, because being a business, you can't have, basically you should say no, but on the other hand, there will be a lot of places you need to be much flexible and embrace the change, because all the time things are changing. So make sure you are flexible enough to change. And the other thing, the last thing I want to talk about, is being upfront and do a lot of communication, because tell your client, if you can't meet deadline, tell very at least 2-3 months ahead of time, or if the earliest possible, so they can prepare for that, and then at least they can compensate on that, because your client might be reporting to some other person, so he might need to report, give them set the expectation of the other company's owner or someone else as well. So make sure that when you are communicating, be upfront and tell that if you can't make the project deadline, make sure that you are delivering it clearly to them. And so I'll go back to and go into Sinhala a little bit. So we'll start with the පටන් ගන්නම් මේ සිංහලෙන් කියන්න මේකේ මේ ඔයා mindset traits මොනවාද කියන්නේ ඔයා මොනවාද වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕනේ හිතන පත්න හැටි කියන එක. පළවෙනි දේ තමයි මම දැක්ලාට ඔයා confident වෙන්න ඕනේ. මොකද ඔයා කරන දේ ගැන ඔයා හොඳටම confident කියලා පෙන්වන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් ඔයා දක්ෂ කෙනෙක්. හැබැයි ඔයා confident වෙලා පෙන්වන්න ඕනේ මේක මට කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට තමයි මිනිස්සු ආව believe කරන්නේ මේ වැඩේ මෙයාට දීලා කරගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. ඊළඟට ඔයා කරන වැඩේට accountable වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ හරි ගියත් වැඩේ වැරදුනත් ඔයා ඒක ඔයා ownership එක අරගෙන කියන්නේ මේක වැරදුනා. ඒක නිසා මේක මගේ failure එකක් කියලා. මේ ඒ වැරදිච්ච දේ ගන්න දැනගන්න ඉන්න ඕනේ. ඊළඟ තුන්වෙනි දේ තමයි ඔයාට වැරදීමක් වෙලා මොකක් හරි ඔයා වැරදිලා වැටුනොත් එහෙම ඒක ඔයාගේ මේ නරක දෙයක් කියලා හිතන්න හොඳ නැහැ. ඒක වාගේ ලෙසන් එකක් කියලා හිතාගෙන ඉස්සරහට යන්න බලන්න ඕනේ. ඊළඟට හතරවෙනි එක තමයි ඔයා කරන දේ ගැන පැෂනේට් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා ඒක දේ ගැන හරි ආසාවෙන් කරන දෙයක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. මොකද නැත්තම් එහෙම ටික දවසක් ඇද්දර හරි බෝරින් වෙලා වාට කරගන්න බැරුව මට ඇති මේක කම්මැලි කරන්න කියලා වාට හිතලා කරන්න බැරි වෙනවා එතන ඉහට. මේ ගොඩක්ලාට ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් වලට වෙන්නේ ඒකයි. ටික දවසක් යද්දී මේ මට ඒ කියන්නේ කරන කෙනාට හිතනවා මේක මට මගේ මේක මාව එක්සයිට් කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා මම නිහඬ කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. ඒකින්ද ඒක අතහැරලා දානවා. ඒකින් තමයි ප්‍රශ්නෙට දෙයක් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඊළඟ දේ තමයි හොඳට කියුරියස් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා දේවල් හොයලා බලලා කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද ඔයා පොඩි ළමෙක් වගේ දේවල් හොයන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මේ ලෝකයේ දේවල් හරියට ඉක්මනට වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඒකින්ද ඔයා පුළුවන් තරම් බලන්න ඕනේ කියුරියස් වෙන්න මේ ලෝකේ කොච්චර ඉක්මනට වෙනස් වෙනවද මොනවාද අලුතෙන් ආපු ටෙක්නොලොජි මොනවාද අලුතෙන් ආපු දේවල් ඔයාලා වටේ වෙන්නේ මොනවාද කියලා හොඳට හැකහගෙන ඉන්න දැනගන්න ඕනේ. අන්තිම එක තමයි අර මම කලින් කිව්ව විදිහට ඔයා හැම වෙලෙම persistently deliver කරන්න දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. කියන්නේ ඔයා client කෙනෙක්ට එක වැඩක් කරලා දුන්නා නම් මාස දෙකකින් ඊළඟ වැඩෙත් එයා සමාන දෙයක් ඉල්ලනවා නම් මාස දෙකකින් ඔයා ඒක කරලා දෙන්න පුළුවන් ගන්න. මොකද එයා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා එතකොට ඔයාගෙන් ඒ මාස දෙකකින් කරලා දුන්න වැඩේ වගේ සමාන වැඩක් නම් ඔයාට ඊළඟට ඔයා මාස 6ක් ගන්නවා නම් ඒක එයා ඩිසපොයින්ට් වෙනවා. ඒකින්ද ඔයා හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. ඔයා මොකක් හරි දෙයක් දෙන කෙනෙකුට පොරොන්දු වුණා නම් කරලා දෙන්න. ඒක persistently කරලා දෙන්න පුරුදු වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඊළඟට ඔයා දෙයක් පටන් ගන්නෙද්දී මේ ඔකනේ ඔයා ජොබ් එකෙන් අයින් වෙලා එහෙම කරන්න පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඔයාගේ මොකක්ද වැඩක් පටන් ගන්නෙද්දී ඉස්සෙල්ලාම ඔයාට අය දෙකක් වෙන් කරලා හිතන්නකෝ ඔයා ස්ටඩි කරනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඔයා ජොබ් එකක් කරනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඔයා ජොබ් එකෙන් අයින් වෙන්නේ නැතුව හැබැයි පැයක් දෙකක් වගේ වෙන් කරලා ඒ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක ඔයාට පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම එහෙම කරන්නේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් කරන්නේ ඔයා පොඩි ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් කීපයක් තියාගෙන ඉන්න ඔයාට කවදා හරි දවසකදී පෙන්වන්න ඔයා ඇත්ත ක්ලයන්ට් කෙනෙක් ආපුවාම මෙන්න මේ වගේ දේවල් මම කරලා තියෙනවා මේ වගේ තමයි මගේ කේපබිලිටි කියලා. ඒ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් පෝර්ට්ෆෝලියෝ එකක් තියෙන එක හරි වැදගත්. මොකද කෙනෙක්ට එතකොට වාගෙන ජජ් කරන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාගේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් පෝර්ට්ෆෝලියෝ එක දිහා බලලා. ඊළඟට ඔයාගේ හොඳ ටීම් එකක් බිල්ඩ් කරගන්න ඕනේ මේ ඔයා වටේට ඒගොල්ලන් කියන්නේ ඔයාත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ පළවෙනියටම. හැබැයි පටන් ගන්නෙද්දිම ඔයාට හොඳ ටීම් එකක් හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. ඒගොල්ලන්ට කියලා තියෙනවනේ මට ඉස්සරහට වැඩක් ආවොත් මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දෙනවා. ඒකෙන්ද ලෑස්ති වෙලා ඉන්න කියලා. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන් ඒ ඩිෆරන්ට් ස්කිල්ස් තියෙන කට්ටිය ඉන්නේ. ඔයාට හරි ලේසි වැඩක් ආපුවම මේක වැඩේ තියෙන කැලරි ටික බෙදලා දීලා ඒ වැඩ ටික ඊළඟම කරගන්න. උදාහරණයකට හිතන්නකෝ ඩිසයින් එකක් කරන්න ඩිසයිනින් කරන යාළුවෙක් ඔයාට කතා කරලා තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. මචං මෙහෙම වැඩක් આવොත් මට මේක කරලා දෙන්න කියලා. ඒ වගේ. ඊළඟට මේ දෙයක් පටන් ගනිද්දී ඔයා ප්ලෑන් එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ ඉක්මනට දේවල් මේ කියන්නේ ඉක්මනට පටන් ගන්නවා ප්ලෑන් එකක් හදලා ඔල්රෙඩි තියාගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. අනිත් එක තමයි ගොඩක් ලොකු සල්ලියක් වියදම් කරන්න හොඳ නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ මුල ස්ටේජ් එකේ මොකද ඔයාට සල්ලි දෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ අම්මා තාත්තා හරිය නැත්නම් යාළුවා හරිය නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ නෑයෙක් හරිය වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක නිසා නැත්නම් වෙන්චර් කැපිටල් එකකින් සල්ලි දුන්නා ඔයාට ඒ සල්ලි ලිමිටඩ් ප්‍රමාණයක් හම්බෙන හින්දා ඒ ටික පුළුවන් තරම් පරිස්සම් කරගෙන වාට ප්‍රොෆිට් එකක් හම්බෙන්නකම් දුවා ගන්න. සල්ලි ටික ඉතුරු කරගන්න පුළුවන් තරම් අඩුම කොස්ට් එකකින් ඔයගේ වැඩේ පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ මම මේකෙදි කතා කරේ ඔයාලට ලොකු ටයිම් එකක් ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න වෙනවා ඔයගේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් පටන් ගනිද්දි. මොකද සමහරවිට පැය 15,000ක් දවසකට වැඩ කරන්න වෙනවා. ඒක හරි නෝමල් දෙයක්. මොකද ඔයානේ බිස්නස් ඕනේ දැන් ඔයා කාටවත් වැඩ කරනව නෙමෙයි. ඉතින් දැන් ඔයාටම වැඩ කරන හින්දා ඔයාට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඔයාගේ ටයිම් එක ස්පෙන්ඩ් කරන්න වෙනවා ගොඩක් දේවල් කරන්න. ඒ වගේම තමයි මම ගොඩක් ලංකා කට්ටිය දැකලා නැති දෙයක් තමයි මේ වෙලාවට වැඩ කරන්න නැති එක. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා 9ට මීටින් එකට එනවා කිව්වොත් 9ට මීටින් එකට එන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ 9 මාර නෙමෙයි 9යි කාලත් නෙමෙයි 9 වෙනකොට මීටින් එකට ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මේ සමහරට ක්ලයන්ට් ඒ මීටින් එකට 9ට ඇවිල්ලා බලන් ඉන්නවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ වෙනකන්. එතකොට එහෙම ඒක අරස්තාදු කරන්න එපා කට්ටිය. මොකද මම ගොඩක් කාලේ දැකලා තියෙන දෙයක් තමයි කට්ටිය පංචුවැලිටි එක හරි අඩුයි කියලා. ඊළඟට අනිත් එක තමයි මම ගොඩක් දැකලා තියෙන දේ මේ කමියුනිකේට් කරන්නේ නැහැ. කියන්නේ වැඩේ කරන්න බැරි නම් මට කරන්න බෑ කියලා කියන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ කරන්න බෑ කියන එක ක්ලයන්ට් ඇට්ලිස්ට් කරන ගෞරවයක්. මොකද එතකොට මේ කරන්න බැරි නම් හරි මේ ඩෙඩ්ලයින් එක මීට් කරන්න බැරි නම් එතකොට එයාට පුළුවන් එයාගේ බොස්ට කියන්න මෙයාට මේක කරන්න බෑ මෙදාට. ඒකින්ද අපි තව මෙයාට තව කාලයක් දෙමු කියලා. නැත්තම් එහෙම වෙන්නේ අන්තිම මොහොතේ ඕක කියන්න ගිහපුවම නිකන් රණ්ඩු ඇති වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක වගේ නැති වෙලා යනවා. ආයි කවදාවත් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ කම්පැනි එකේ. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද පුළුවන් තරම් අප්ෆ්‍රන්ට් වෙලා දේවල් කියන්න බලන්න මේ. කියන්නේ පුළුවන් තරම් මේ මුලින් කමියුනිකේට් කරන්න බලන්න පසුවෙන් තියාගෙන ඉන්න එපා. And I think the last thing is the prepare for the worst, because whatever you do, there are going to be a lot of mistakes, so there are going to be a lot of problems in your business. So main things that can happen is the key things I've seen is not estimating properly, including myself. I'm sometimes not estimating properly, so the project costs blow out really badly. And the other thing is not delivering on time. So people won't deliver it on time, which can then cause a lot of trouble, because the client might be depending on your deliveries, because they are also promised to some other people with your project. So they have to make other expectations as well. So, and the other thing is the major mistake I've seen is using the wrong technologies. Where, like, say, if you want to use one technology stack, you are using a different technology stack, totally different to what the company asked or what the company used to. So don't do that mistake, because then that will cost you a lot of money and time later in the stage when you try to correct them. And the last thing is selecting the wrong team, because you won't have good people in your team. As I said before, it'll be really hard to get those people going in there, because the projects then people won't help you with your work. They'll just take your money out and just they just go, but they don't do actual work. So make sure that you get the correct people into your projects. And the last thing I would like to tell about is what's the exit strategy. So we talked about everything about building a business and running a business, but what's happened if you want to exit? So like there are think about all the time when you get a project, think about this exit strategy as well. Like it could be like a client giving you a project and asking you to do, like, say, build a software for you for them. But then think about what happens if once you finish that work. Are there going to be any support work there, or who's going to do the support work and all that? Exit strategy as well. Also, if you're building a SaaS product, think of that as like the product that you're going to sell it to your end user. And what's the exit strategy for that? Like, are you going to keep it forever, or are you going to sell it to someone else so that you don't have the burden of maintaining that later? So think about the exit strategy. There are several ways you can do exit, but think of that strategies. I'm not going to tell you all the exit strategies. Like you can sell your product to some other company, or like you can just have an agreement. So you are not supporting it. You give it to another third party company to support that. Whatever the exit strategy, think about it in the beginning. So you know that you can you can basically exit comfortably, and think about the next project as well, because project every time you have to be vigilant about your project pipeline and make sure there's enough work in your sustain. So think about the next project as well when you are doing a current project, because some of the work that you're doing now can lead to the next project as well. So think about that and make sure that you're partnered with your client or your partner. The next project is in line when you finish the current project. මම සිංහලෙන් මේ ටික පොඩ්ඩක් මට කියන්න. පළවෙනි එක තමයි මේ මොනවද අපි කරන මිස්ටේක්ස් කියලා ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් කරද්දී. පළවෙනි එක තමයි අපි ලොකුවට මේ එස්ටිමේට් කරන්න නැතුව ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් පටන් ගන්නවා. පටන් අරගෙන ඉවරලා ඊට පස්සේ අපිට ලොකු කොස්ට් එකක් යනවා මේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක ඉවර කරන්න. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද එස්ටිමේට් කරද්දී මුලදීම එස්ටිමේෂන් එක හරියට කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක හරියට කරන්න බැරි වුණා like 100% accurate කරන්න බැරි වුණත් at least 90% accurate කරගන්න try කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද ඒකෙන් තමයි අපේ profit එක තීරණය වෙන්නේ. අපි කොච්චරක් profit make කරනවද loss ගන්නවද කියන. ඊළඟට නරකම දේ වෙන්නේ තමයි අපි deadline එකට deliver කරන්න නැති වෙන එක. අපි එක reason වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් deadline එකට deliver කරන්න නැති වෙන එකෙන් අපි ගැන නරක reputation එකක් යනවා වගේම අපිට ආපහු අලුතෙන් ලැබෙන තියෙන වැඩක් නොලැබී යන ඉඩ තියෙනවා. ඒකින්ද පුළුවන් තරම් බලන්න ඩෙඩ්ලයින් එක ඩිලිවර් කරන්න බැරි නම් අර මම කලින් කිව්වා පුළුවන් තරම් කලින් ඒගොල්ලන් නොටිෆයි කරන්න. මෙහෙම මට මේක ඩිලිවර් කරන්න බෑ. මෙන්න මේ හවල් හේතු හින්දා. ඒක නිසා කරුණාකරලා අපි මේක රීනිගෝෂিয়েට් කරමු ඩෙඩ්ලයින් එක කියලා. ඊළඟට මේ නරකම දේවල් තමයි මේ ඊළඟට මම දැකලා තියෙන්නේ මේ වැරදි ටෙක්නොලොජි යූස් කරලා ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා ඊට පස්සේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක මැදදී හිර වුණාම අලුත් වෙන ටෙක්නොලොජි එකක් ගේනවා. එතකොට අපිට ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක කරගන්න විදිහක් නැහැ. මොකද ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක ඇත්තටම තනිකරම මේ දැන් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන දුර අනුව අපෝ හැරෙන්න අමාරුයි. ඒකින්ද හරි ටෙක්නොලොජි සිලෙක්ට් කරගන්න ඕනේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක පටන් ගනිද්දිම. කොච්චරක් ලොකුවට එක්ස්පෑන්ඩ් වෙයිද කියලා හිතලා ඒක මුලදීම පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් වෙන්නේ ලොකු කොස්ට් එකක් යනවා අපිට පස්සේදී ටෙක්නොලොජිස් මාරු කරන්න. ඊළඟට අන්තිමටම නරක දේ තමයි මේ ගොඩක් ලාට මේ වැරදි ටීම් එක අපි සිලෙක්ට් කරගත්තොත් එහෙනම් ටීම් එක අපිට හෙල්ප් කරන්නේ අන්තිමට මේ මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණාම. ඒකින්ද ඔයාගොල්ලෝ මේක් ෂුවර් කරන්න හරි ටීම් එක ඔයාලුවෙක් වැඩේ පටන් ගන්න. යාළුවත් වගේ මයින්ඩ්සෙට් එකෙම ඉන්නවද කියලා මේ මොකක් හරි වැඩේ වැරදුනොත් එහෙම ඔයාට උදව් කරන්නේ යාළුවා ඉන්නවද කියලා. ඊළඟ අන්තිම දේ තමයි මම කියන්නේ මේ වැඩ පටන් ගන්නදී හිතන්න කොහොමද ඔයාට ඉවර කරන්නේ කියලා. නැත්නම් වැඩ පටන් අරගෙන යනකම් හොඳයි. ඊට පස්සේ කොහොමද ඒක ඉවර කරන්නේ කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් කරා නම් ඒ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක මාසයකින් පස්සේ ඉවර වුණාම කවුද ඒක ඊට පස්සේ සපෝට් කරන්නේ? ඔයාද සපෝට් කරන්නේ නැත්නම් වෙන කාට හරි සපෝට් කරන්න දෙනවද? එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයා ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එකක් හදුවා නම් ඒ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් කොහොමද අවුරුදු 10ක් තිස්සේ දුවනකොට ඔයාද ඒකට සපෝට් කරන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ විකුණලා දානවද? ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක විකුණන සල්ලියක් වා ගන්නවද? එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයා ඒක තියාගෙන ඒකෙන් එන ප්‍රොෆිට් මේ වා ගන්නවද? ඒ වගේ මොකද්ද ඒකෙන් පස්සේ කරන්න කියලා හිතන්න එක. ඊළඟ අන්තිමට වැදගත් දේ තමයි ඊළඟට එන ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් මොනවද කියලා පොඩි අයිඩියා එකක් තියන් ඉන්න. මොකද කරන්ට් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක ඉන්දී ඔයගලට ඔපචුනිටි පෙන්න පුළුවන් ඊළඟට ඔයාට තව වැඩ එන්න. ඒකින්ද ඒවා ඩිස්කස් කරන්න. ඔයා හැම වෙලේම විජිලන්ට් වෙලා ඉන්න ඊළඟ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක වාගේ මොකද්ද ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් පයිප්ලයින් එකේ කියලා. ඔය ටික තමයි මගේ මේ මේවා ටික තිබ්බේ. ඊපස්සේ මේ ඔයගලන්ට මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අපි ඊළඟට මේ නලින් මම හිතන්නේ මේ කන්ටිනියු කරයි ප්‍රශ්න මොන හරි තියෙනවා නම් මේ අහන්න පුළුවන්. මම ටිකක් වැඩිපුර වෙලා ගත්තා. එනවාට මේ අපි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අපි ඒ ටික ඩිස්කස් කරන්නත් පුළුවන් පොඩි වෙලාවක් අරගෙන.
No problem, Kaushal, and thanks a lot. And again, the audience, for your information, this gentleman is joining from Brisbane, which is, I think that right now the time is about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, 1 o'clock.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. Therefore, and Thanks a lot, Kaushal, and it was
That's all right. Yeah.
comprehensive presentation. And to be honest with you, I had few questions at the beginning. How to start, when to start, what to start, and what would be your message to new generation. And everything was covered with your presentation. Therefore, for the time being, I don't have any question. And ladies and gentlemen, being the participants, we have now put this attendance Google form in the chat box and even in the YouTube streaming as well. Therefore, please be mindful to mark your attendance. That's one of a message. And Kaushali, we have a question came through WhatsApp messages, and I'm a QA engineer. He might be referring to quality assurance. And how can I build any business in QA related side? So just let me amalgamate some few other ideas as well. For, see, if I am to ask from you that what would be the, you have mentioned something in your presentation, and what are the red hot areas, or what are the areas which a person who's just trying to make a startup or just try to do something, some business, maybe with foreign clients, and what would be your guideline? So just you can talk about this QA part as well as what are the other areas?
Yeah, so I'll address this one as a, like, especially start from the QA side, and then I'll elaborate into other areas as well. So especially in QA, so if you recently know about, so there are a lot of like gaps between like automated testing, for example, like not only software. So even if you build a software, there are like a lot of testing to be done. So there are frameworks that you can use, but what I found is there's no streamlined way of testing all the things. So if you are building a business overseas, or getting, like, if you're QA engineer and want to build a business around what you know about, best would be to start a business that you can sell yourself as a automation testing, providing automation testing tools or automation testing suites. So for example, there might be software companies who's doing writing software, but they don't have a particular set of testers or test suite that can test the system automatically. So that's a good place to start. And also, I mean, if I go beyond and further, say for example, one of the companies I've worked in actually, they had a actual terminal, like the computer terminal touch screen. So they wanted to test the physical touches of the people. So so we end up actually, like, we had a project for about 3-4 months, and we built a small robot arm. So basically it actually mimicked the person's movement and just do that touching thing to the screen. So similar kind of like, I'm just giving you examples, but that kind of automations can be done as well. So that's a total new thing. We use a camera to capture where the pointer going, and then touching those screens and get that input and analyze it with AI, and like a lot of things happen there. But still, like, it was a very interesting project that we have done. But I mean, someone who's starting new can think of these kind of areas as well, because there's no particular tool to test the actual touch screen at the moment. So building that kind of physical device would be a good thing as well. I mean, that's a more advanced thing, but still there's a opportunity. And from that, I would like to say, like, the other questions people ask about the other business opportunities, the red hot areas, or like the things that you can specially build, and there are a lot of opportunities are AI at the moment. Say for example, very good thing that still in Sri Lanka you don't have number plate recognition, right? So you can't recognize number plates, for example. So that's a good thing that you can start, because there are a lot of libraries and like a lot of tools there, but you have to train a system to detect number plate. I'm just giving you ideas, but that's one thing you can start today. I mean, there's nothing there, or even like use come up with the idea that you use a like IoT device to monitor generators or like a monitor fuel levels of generators, for example, because I've seen there are some solutions, but they are quite expensive. So if you can come up with like a defect monitoring system, like say if generator is running, there's a vibration, so you know whether that generator started or not by the vibration, and if the vibration pattern changes, that means okay, there's a problem in the generator, there's some mechanical failure happening in there. So that kind of thing you can build on top of like the existing hardware without investing a lot of money. Like I mean, typically like 20,000 rupees, you can like a prototype something like that and get things going. So these are the things that I think IoT, AI, and like are the red hot areas at the moment. Yeah, so that's a good area to start.
Thanks, Kaushal. And Pramita, there was a hand raise. Pramita. Yeah, if your question is how to mark your attendances, we have put a Google form there. Sanjay, for the redundancy purpose, shall we put again the?
Sure. I did.
We put the attendance sheet again, and please mark your attendance through this Google form. What programming language did you work on in UOP back then? Maybe he's asking about the history, University of Perak, what we have learned as a programming language, and also let me add something to that. And what would be your recommendation? Is it Python or is Java is going to be outdated, or what's your recommendation for future as well? The question was, what was your language you learned back in University of Perak? Yeah? And my question is just to add on that, what would be your future recommendations?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So like we recently have the same debate in the current projects we are working. So that's a good question. So I worked in Sri Lanka, or even in like the project that I've initially done using Java. So Java was at that time it was like the thing or the hype was in Java. So like I like Java anyway. So I started coding with Java, and then now I'm doing like most of my coding with Node.js. I'm doing less and less coding, but I'm doing Node.js and React frameworks, basically like JavaScript based frameworks at the moment. I use Python for like analysis and like basically AI training and all that, because Python is more easy to do this kind of stuff, like basically AI model training and all that, like scripting. What else? Java, Node.js. I know PHP a little bit. I've done some couple of projects in PHP as well. Initially, I did some VB projects, but that's like only VB, Visual Basic. Now it's like outdated, so no one uses Visual Basic anymore. So mainly Java and Node.js, or basically Java and JavaScript. Yes.
Yeah, Kaushal, that there are, I think, I'm not an expert in these languages and these software, but people were talking about that. I've just heard Java is going to be outdated. Is it a news? Or?
Not really. I would say at least Java would stay another like 10 years, definitely. So it's not a bad idea to know Java, because that'll give you a lot of understanding about the concepts of programming, because that's a rich language. So, and there are, if you look at the job boards, still Java is like the Java jobs are the leading jobs. Like if you get the and like the paying high. So basically, if you look at the SEEK is like Australian job board. So basically the go-to place for jobs. So if you look at a search for Java and Node.js, definitely you will find more Java jobs. So Java is not going to die in like next 10 years. So definitely not. So, but it'll slowly transforming into Node.js and JavaScript. And in next 10 years, you might see a totally different language. So I would say like there won't be any, like actually within next 10 years, there won't be any coding. I would say like very less coding. There's the no code tools would be dominating the area. So no code or low code would be the next thing. So yeah, we to be prepared for that. So you might be like just dragging and dropping the things and building the software like with next 5-6 years, I would say.
Thanks.
So I
Thanks.
have one question.
Yeah.
Actually, when we apply to foreign jobs like Australia, Singapore, like that, do you prefer any special website for that or any platform for that? Do we need to have a special experience in Sri Lanka also?
Not particularly. Yeah, so I would say if you're looking for jobs, I'm not sure about Singapore. I have no idea about Singapore basically. So, but in Australia, so try with websites like Seek and yeah, Seek is the go-to place basically. That's the website for job board. It's a job board basically. Like for your qualification, have, as I said, like have a portfolio ready. So make sure you have a lot of well, at least projects that GitHub projects or showcase that you can showcase these are the things that I have done. These are the working prototypes of the things. So then people can, when you apply, give them a link. Basically, when you send a CV, send them the link for your GitHub profile or your link with the LinkedIn profile. Send them to the website or the application that you have done, so they can then go and check those software and see whether that's functioning one, and like have a look of your portfolio. So yeah, that's my advice on that.
I think Kaushal, you referred as seek.com, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So there's another one called Chora. I would find so, but many people, most of the jobs in Seek are the ones actually genuine. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And I think we're almost done with the timing, and there are a few questions. And may I type it down to you? And can we get answers? So can we have 5 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very quickly. There was a chat message saying that you said something about read from email server or something like that, which I didn't get. That was from Pial Pereira. Was it something like read from email servers? There were so many opportunities. I think he might be referring some opportunities. Should be read
no,
from.
I've said actually that if it is like a so I think he's referring to probably the IT services that I referred, like when you have the software development system, you need to have like a supporting services. One of them is like the IT services, and those could be like someone who's actually setting up like a email server for you, or like a cloud service for you. So I think that he's referring to that. So if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what he's referring to. Yeah.
That's fine. And let me ask you some final remarks, like maybe 2 questions together, and just make it as a final remark. And number 1 is, what about these non-IT professionals, and what's your recommendation? Because there would be some challenges in the future, like maybe civil engineers and mechanical electrical. There would be some lot of opportunity. There won't be much of opportunities for these conventional engineers maybe in the future, maybe a couple of years, especially in Sri Lankan context. And what would be your recommendation if somebody needs to shift, or just to have a short course and start with something, being a non-IT profession? At the same time, if you could just add something with your genuine feedback, that what would be the difference you have seen from especially the younger generation in Australia and Sri Lankans? Like if you just moved from there, and what would be their difference, our strengths and our weaknesses, and what would be the lesson learned for you, and just the message you can pass on to the younger generation? One is the non-IT professionals, and then your final remarks with the message to pass on to the younger generation. Kaushal?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So the first thing is, I think, I mean, even if you, I mean, what I'm seeing is in the next couple of years, whether you are IT or non-IT, or like even if you are civil engineer or whatever engineering background you're coming from, better know a programming language no matter what. Like at least know one of the programming languages, because these softwares that you're using increasingly, like say for example AutoCAD or whatever the language whatever software you're using, actually they're coming with the capabilities that you can customize it and you can use, especially you can customize it basically. So make sure you have that knowledge acquired, like say learn a language something like Node.js, or basically like at least Java, something like JavaScript. So if you know one language, you can easily transfer into other. So it's not a bad idea to invest into say a couple of months into learning a language. You don't need to have like a full software development life cycle and everything. You just need to understand how it is actually the language works, and then you can transfer that knowledge into, say, from JavaScript to Python or something else. It'll be much easier. So if you know one thing, then it'll be easy to map into other things. So it doesn't matter whether you IT or not, learn language. That's my key advice. And especially if you are even not engineering, if you are doing arts, because I know the guy who's actually recently I contacted, he's like an art graduate, but he created some AI models. He learned JavaScript and he built some AI models to generate pictures from sound. So like he is not a developer or anything, but he's artist basically, but he built some nice tools in a website just to create some images out of sound basically. So that's a project he's done, and like he was really recognized on that. So even if you are like doing art subject or whatever stream, learn a language, programming language, that will really help you. It's like learning English now. So if you know English, that'll open up a lot of doors. If you know programming language, definitely that'll open up a lot of doors for you. Even not in IT sector, but in other sectors, because a lot of other software and other companies using softwares, increasingly using software. No, I haven't seen in Sri Lanka much yet, but here in Australia and most of the countries, they are using lots of software. So if you know a language and if you know how to code, that'll be a really plus point for your CV. And
Kaushalya, sorry that there's a specific question somebody was asking that it's Malinga. What is the best programming language for cloud programming, and what is the user-friendly programming? If you have any answer for that?
There's no best programming language, such thing like best programming language. So, but if you're building a website, or like if you're doing like a web app, basically now the trend is to use Node.js and like JavaScript platform like React or Vue.js. So sticking to that, or that's the hype basically at the moment. So I think sticking to the hype is better, because then you have a lot of support from the community, like because there are a lot of forums you can read and a lot of documentation around that. So yeah, sticking to that. But you, as I said before, you should be able to embrace the change and change yourself after some time. So for the moment, use Node.js and JavaScript, but it might change next couple of years. So, yeah.
Okay, and thanks, Kaushal. And just some few messages to the younger generation, and then we'll conclude this. What you have seen, the difference of youth back in your part of the world, like in Aussie or in Queensland, and what you have seen from our part of the world. So just make a small comparison, and then we'll wind the things up. Thanks.
Definitely. Yeah. And thanks, Nalin, for giving me the opportunity as well. So yeah, it's good that get a lot of people like from Sri Lanka and like the younger generation thinking of getting that exposure into the international market and getting that rather than stuck into only in Sri Lanka or jobs in Sri Lanka, because that'll open up a lot of doors for them. So the main key thing, the main key point I would like to say is be confident about yourself, because if you're going through like a university or even like higher education, and I have seen a lot of Sri Lankans are really smart, like compared to a lot of Indians. So I wouldn't be racially profiling, but on the other hand, I would say like any other country, South Asian or Asian countries, Sri Lankans are really smart. So be confident about yourself. That's the key thing. Be confident and then believe in yourself. So that'll make sure, and also skill up yourself. So, you know, when you're talking to a foreigner or like a Sri Lankan employer, you know what to talk about, and at least know about what's happening in the tech world or what's happening around the world. Not only like gossip and all that, but just make sure you know what's happening in the technology and all that. Then you are better prepared for when you're actually communicating with the other party. You know what to tell them and what to ask for them as a question and get answer back from them. That's the key thing, because as I said, like Sri Lankans are really intelligent, and I've seen a lot of people in here like thriving really well. So there are a lot of opportunities in like still working from Sri Lanka, staying in Sri Lanka, but working for foreign country. But only thing I would say is like be confident about yourself. That's the key thing, because that's what I was seeing lacking in most of the Sri Lanka. Yeah.
Thanks, Kaushal, and thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us, and especially thank you, Kaushal, for many reasons. Number one is you have prepared a lot, and we have selflessly shared your experience. And the time is now 1 a.m. in the morning in Brisbane, and the other one is obviously for the time being you have a sore throat as well, but still you managed to deliver it well. And thank you very much. And personally, I can be proud of being one of my batchmate and one of my classmates. And thanks, Kaushal. Thank you very much. Your contribution was highly appreciated, and thanks a lot. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks. And ladies and gentlemen, let's conclude the session for the day. And as I mentioned at the beginning, so this is our last session for the year. Though it's a third session, we have 5 more sessions to start from January 7th onwards. So same Saturday evening, 6:30 onwards, and we have lined up one of the key areas we have to focus, and there are a lot of good contributors, those who are practically engaged and all around the world. So that experience definitely would be helpful, and please try to share our links. Those are all free of charge, and for the educational purpose, we would like to encourage you to share with all your friends. Doesn't matter whether they are graduated undergraduates or they are school leavers, A-level dropouts, and doesn't matter whether how old he or she is. So please share with everybody around you, and that will sometimes help to any of you around you. With that remark, hope that everybody have marked their attendance, and please try to watch them and try to share those things in the YouTube as well. And I would like to thank again Kaushal and those who are behind the organizing committee, like those who are from the Magnus Academy, especially Sanjay and Danushka. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you. Thanks, Kaushal.